Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Pippa, Business Analyst Coach and founder of the Well-Paid BA program. Today's video is for every BA who has ever sat in a meeting and thought, wait, what do you actually want? Right? You've said a lot, but nothing I can work with, right? Or this is so vague. How am I supposed to write a requirement from this? My goodness. If that's you, you're not alone. Getting clear requirements from stakeholders can be one of the most frustrating parts of the job, but it's also one of the places where great BAs shine, right? So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through how I gather requirements when stakeholders are vague, the stakeholders are unsure, or just rambling, and how you can do it too. So let's get right into it. Why stakeholders are often vague and why it's not their fault, right? Before we fix the problem, we need to actually understand it, right? Most stakeholders aren't being vague on purpose, right? They're often too close to the issue. They're thinking out loud. They're describing a solution instead of the actual problem, or they're just not used to articulating what they need clearly. Okay, so your job as a business analyst is to help them move from we need a dashboard to we need a real-time view of X metric so that the ops team can take action faster. You see, that's a big shift and it requires technique, not just patience. Start with context, not features. Okay, when a stakeholder says we need a new form, don't write that down as a requirement, okay? Instead, backtrack and ask, what is currently happening that makes this form necessary? Okay, you want to ask why they need it. Who is it for? Who is the form for? What is the problem that we're trying to solve? Okay, what would success look like if this form worked well? Requirements gathering isn't about documenting wants, it's about exploring pain points, goals, and constraints, okay? A tip, start every session by framing the business context. It anchors the conversation and it stops you from going outside the scope, okay? Use structured techniques to surface the specifics, right? Vague conversations become clearer when you introduce structure into it, right? So here are 3 techniques that I actually use regularly. Number 1 is process mapping your as-is and to-be. This is one of my favorite things to do. It helps to visualize steps, it helps to identify gaps, and it helps to bring hidden details to light, okay? Stakeholders often clarify their needs mid-diagram because they see the mess. So creating those diagrams help them to see clearly what they want. Secondly is user story with examples. As a user, I want X so that I can Y, right? Then ask, can you walk me through what this actually looks like in your day-to-day, right? A third thing that I then do is scenario-based questions, such as, can you describe a recent example where this didn't work well? What did you do then? What do you wish had happened instead? Okay, this takes them out of abstract and into reality. It builds a story, it builds a process, it builds a workflow. They can see it clearly, right? Decode vague language like a BA detective. Stakeholders love saying things like we need it to be simple. We need it to be fast. It just needs to be user-friendly. What do those actually mean, right? These are starting points for them. They are not actually requirements, okay? So your job as a BA is to turn that it needs to be quick into users should be able to complete the form in under 3 minutes with no external help, right? A tip here, always ask, what does that mean to you? How would we measure that, right? Can you give me an example of when it wasn't that, right? The key thing here is always in the follow-up. Always ask the follow-up questions. It will help you to uncover the root causes, right? Know when to pause the session and come back with structure. Sometimes the conversation is too vague, messy, or heated, and that's okay. If things aren't progressing, right, suggest a working session using a shared document or diagram, right? You could offer to map out what you've heard so far and then try to review it together with the stakeholders, right? You can also try to break big ideas into smaller chunks and prioritize them. Yeah. The tip here is don't be afraid to say, I think we're trying to solve a few things at once here, right? Would it help if I drafted a flow or a summary so that we can build from it? So remember that you're not there to just capture, you're there to facilitate clarity. That's your key role as a business analyst when dealing with fake stakeholders. Another thing is to document iteratively and validate fast. Once you've gathered your initial insights, right, your initial requirements, don't disappear into documentation for a week. Instead, write up a first pass of requirements or a flow, right? And then share it with stakeholders and say, here's what I've captured so far. Does this reflect what you had in mind? Invite corrections early and often, okay? This is very important because it shows that you are listening. It shows that you are adding value. It shows that you're helping to shape a shared understanding. Gathering requirements from vague stakeholders is a skill. And the more you practice, listening deeply, asking thoughtful follow-ups, visualizing messy ideas, and leading people from abstract to specific, the more you'll be seen as a trusted standout BA. And if you want help practicing this in real scenarios, come join my Well-Paid BA program. We do live coaching calls where I guide you through techniques like this in real time so that you can grow faster and feel more confident. Let me know in the comment section what's the vaguest requirement you've ever heard, or what's your go-to strategy for getting clarity. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video. You never know who it might help. Next, I'll walk you through my exact workshop structure for getting stakeholders to actually open up. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.